Welcome everyone to my presentation. This is a culmination of my dissertation research for my educational doctorate through UNC Greensboro. I wanted to quickly thank my advisement group, Dr. Pam Brown, Dr. Diane Gill, and Dr. Michael Hemphill for helping me out along the way. I took a look at the effective use and implementation of video modeling in a survival swimming course. The United States Military Academy is my current occupation as a survival swimming course instructor, along with other courses, but this is my primary duty. And we have a large catalog of videos of all the skills that are graded within the course. I wanted to take a look at these videos to see whether watching them actually improved efficacy within the course. Efficacy as it's related to grade and overall comfort level as they're moving throughout the course. So we were trying to pursue some sort of evidence-based practice guidelines for how instructors and students both implement their survival swimming videos at the United States Military Academy. Our rationale is we wanted to try to come up with some sort of bridges and fill the gaps between teaching and learning. We have a long-term use impact, which we try to actually consider the thread that exists prior to admission throughout education into the career of a military officer. And what this really means is how can we educate students prior to coming to the United States Military Academy on what they're required to participate in and how they're required to perform in survival swimming. How can we then educate them throughout their 4 years in survival swimming? And then throughout their military career, how can we utilize that information that we've given them and put it into some sort of package where they could reference it later on? And we think that the video library is a good way to do that. So this just shows the flow of the different aspects of some of the experiences that they have within the survival swimming program. Starting on the left is their swim test. Everyone is tested for a 150-yard swim when they get here to try to categorize them into different swimming levels of the course. We have instructional techniques as simple as treading and survival float. And then in the summertime, everyone goes through a confidence water obstacle course where they drop from a height and then they swim to the side, or they go over a balance beam and have to keep their composure. All the way to the far right, which is the tower entry, a graduation requirement for the United States Military Academy and our swimming program, 6.5-meter tower entry. If you look at video modeling, really there's 4 different types of video modeling, but it's a teaching modality that is a visual model. It's a desired skill or activity. Some would call it a gold standard, all used to increase performance. We see it through YouTube videos all the time. How do I throw a baseball? How do I get better at throwing darts? If you want to try to get better at a skill, then you want to try to find some sort of model experience that will get you there. Point of view video modeling is, hey, if I'm actually the one throwing the dart, or I'm on the bicycle going over a log, that is point of view. Video prompting is when you give someone a video ahead of time, try to show them what the gold standard would be, and then have them try to mimic. Basic video modeling would be someone who takes a video of someone and then also gives the feedback immediately and then gives them an opportunity to improve their performance. Video self-modeling is where you take a video of yourself, try to improve upon that without really any further instruction other than what you actually have seen yourself do, and then try to improve upon your performance. When we look at the learning theory behind this, we really reference back to Bandura's social modeling theory, and modelings do aid in retention and learning, according to Mitchell in 2016. It is used successfully for many professions for teaching new skills. In fact, it's used in teaching people how to teach. Common practice within physical education courses without assessing effectiveness. Really, we do a lot of, hey, watch this video, here's how you do X. But then we really don't ask, was that really effective? We may see instant results, but as a group, are these videos that we have available actually producing some sort of positive results? And really there's a lack of standardization in pedagogical use. So our aim was to develop some sort of best practice for student use and also for how instructors implement the videos, examining the relationship between performance, which is through standardized grading, perceived understanding, which is how well they prepared for the lesson, and perceived performance, how well they thought they were going to do based on watching the video. Our methodology was a mixed method design. We had both quantitative and qualitative portions. The quantitative was nominal, categorical questions. The qualitative was definitely open-ended questions. We had about 70% response rate out of the 308 that were within the course. We had 217 accept, and we used descriptive and two-factor ANOVA statistical methods. We sent out a pre-course electronic survey on video modeling use. Hey, have you ever used video modeling to improve a course? If so, what were they? We looked at preferred learning styles, whether it was verbal, reading what the instructions were or how to do the activity, and watching videos. We did an electronic survey after 4 key events. These are called survival gate tests, and we captured the total number of views that they watched that particular video model, what their perceived understanding was of the actual skill, and what their perceived influence was on their actual performance. We had a large representative subject pool, but one of our limitations was this was self-reported data. So if they said they watched it 3 times, but they only did it two times, we took their word for it that they actually watched it 3 times. For the instructors, it was a phenomenological design. Mostly it was qualitative in nature. We did semi-structured interviews with each one of the instructors in the course. There were 10 instructors, 10 agreed to join our study. We did some transcription, we did investigator content analysis, we had thematic development throughout with no predetermined course. We looked at all of the videos, how they were utilizing the videos, how they were sending them out, how they were getting feedback, how they were using them in the classroom. Some of the strengths were we did have 100% of the instructors with different varied experiences, many years of experience, all the way down to brand new instructors. They had different learning styles. Some of the limitations were the subject pool for the instructors definitely lacked diversity. There were no females, no changes in race, and the teaching experience was very similar. Here are our results. For the students, 64% of them viewed the videos prior to lesson 1. And this was important because our lesson 1 is a rudimentary watermanship video on rhythmical bobs, treading water, survival float, and then also saving yourself back to the wall in a known bottom, 8 feet of water. So it was important that we had many people watch this. 94% indicated that the models were moderately to extremely useful in learning these new skills. So actually pre-feeding them some sort of information from a visual standpoint was super important. And then we asked them to rank the pedagogical effectiveness of video modeling, and they said that pedagogical effectiveness of many different techniques, and they said that video modeling was actually more useful than any other technique except for live modeling. So in the absence of live modeling, maybe video modeling could actually do just as well. There was an average of 2 modeling views for each of the 4 survival gate tests. And as the course progressed, we saw an increase in the video model usage as the skills became more complex. Most frequent viewing was by the lower course level participants, the ones who started at a lower level and probably struggled the most. And there was a greater than 80% approval of the design of the videos. That was important. We did have a professional design company come in and do that for us. And also we had an 85% approval of the instructor implementation, meaning that they were all very effective at developing techniques to give this information to them. And also we had the breakdown here by race. The majority of our participants here were Caucasian, and then African American, Hispanic, and Asian below. As you see, the male and female overall breakdown, 77% male and 23% female, is consistent with the population at West Point and really the population of males and females in the overall Army in general. For instructors, 6 out of the 10 were first or second year instructors. 90% of them used video modeling already regularly to teach, so they were very in tune to that already. 88% said that they were moderately or extremely useful in preparing students to learn. And they ranked pedagogical effectiveness of video modeling, again, second behind live modeling, just like the students did. So there were no significant interactions between the number of students, video modeling views, and the performance score. So really, you could watch it 10 times and you got the exact same score as if you watched it 0 times, or there would be a likelihood of that. Watching the videos more times did not necessarily give you an advantage on your overall score. But there was a practical significance for students. The number of views did help predict perceived understanding as well as perceived performance. So because you watched it 5, 6, 7 times, you had a greater understanding of the actual test. And then your overall performance, you thought you did a lot better than what you actually did, but that shows that you actually had confidence going into that activity based on the number of views. 83% indicated viewing the video models were useful in their understanding. Pretty high number. And then 77% indicated the models were useful in their performance. So what does this mean? Our qualitative results here from the surveys were, how do we improve the design quality, accessibility, model relatability, and various viewpoints. Most people would like to see a model that looks like them, same age, same sex, maybe even same race. They wanted the videos to be more accessible other than just YouTube. Maybe you could post them in some sort of video catalog on your email. And then they would like to see different viewpoints. Although some of the videos had multiple viewpoints, they'd like to see the same exact activity going on from 3 different viewpoints or more. For instructor improvement, the instructors had said, hey, we need some classroom upgrades. We'd like to have a smart board on the pool deck. Maybe we'd have more frequent interactions and communications, send out the videos maybe as a group as opposed to each individual instructor sending them out, make it a little bit more course focused versus individual instructor focused. And then give student education on the importance. Utilize some of the results, particular of this study and others, to show that watching these videos will help prepare you more effectively and maybe give you more confidence to do the physical activity moving. As far as the interviews with the instructors, they were saying that the strengths of the video modeling was it was a great feed-forward mechanism, especially for those that were coming in to teach within the Department of Physical Education. They watched the videos of what they were supposed to be teaching prior to actually stepping foot inside the venue. They thought it was a great reinforcement tool. Once you did the activity, go back and watch the video. It had some sort of time-saving qualities. If you watch the video ahead of time, then it left more room for good quality repetitions. And also, I had mentioned this already, this was great instructor training. Some of the weaknesses, the value was definitely dependent on the level of the learner. Some of those in the higher level courses usually didn't use the videos, as not as beneficial. And there were really no current reliable accountability mechanisms for this. So just because they said they watched it, we don't know whether they watched it at all. So maybe possibly put that in as a requirement for the course and track accountability. And then make sure that the models chosen are relatable to the students. That was one that we got quite often. So our conclusions are the results of this study really examine that complex, beneficial relational intersection there of the student use and instructor implementation. How well do you implement as an instructor? How much emphasis do you put on these video models? And then also, how well do the students really latch onto that and use it for their advantage? As well as student engagement. How can each one of these videos help you with student engagement? Watching the video ahead of time, you can quickly talk about it at the beginning of class. Hey, who watched the video? It really gets them starting to talk about the task at hand. And although there was really no statistical significance found between number of views and overall performance, there was that practical significance, which then led to increased perceived understanding and overall confidence in performance just by viewing the videos 2, 3, 4 times. And really, this research supports that of Mitchell and colleagues in increasing the retention of information through video modeling. Also, Bandura's perceived self-efficacy influenced by similarities between the model and the student. And also Rashid and Ashgar, they talked about the increased access and exposure to technology actually improving performance and inculcating a culture of student engagement. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to engage students in a different platform that maybe they would learn better from an instructor video, where they can continually watch the same model over and over, or maybe the model looks like them. So what's the practical significance? It's a scientific approach to assessment of this video modeling tool, the implementation, the effectiveness of the video, and it can be used hopefully outside of the United States Service Academies into higher education, physical education programs, even down to the K through 12 physical education programs. It does establish some sort of best practices based on our instructors and our student feedback on implementation and the use. And it does fill a research gap in the use of video modeling in teaching PE courses, in particular swimming, which I couldn't find a lot of information about prior to this. And most importantly, it assesses the impact of our survival swimming video library. Instead of just wondering whether it worked or assuming that it worked based on a couple people's feedback, we actually had some hard science here that we were able to rely on to tell us that it was very effective. And it allows for transfer of the video modeling best practice to some sort of other Army agencies. Maybe we can take this to Big Army and utilize it in other sort of skill-based events. And here's my references. I thank you for your time, and once again, I'd like to thank UNC Greensboro as well. Take care.